Hey everybody, Diggs here. It's another beautiful day out here in the Pacific Northwest. I was just outside for a walk and the air is so crisp right now. We're going to be talking about the Diabolos raid today. I'm going to show you 5 different combinations that are very effective. Of course, if you don't have these units, some of them do have, or pretty much all of them have limited time units, but different types. If you don't have them, that's okay. Kind of take what you can learn and apply it to your own composition as well. Let's go ahead and dig in. All right, so the different combinations we're going to be showing are going to be the ones that I show right now. This is not a combination that I'm going to highlight, but you can actually solo this with Yuna if you do have bells and the right setup. There's many solo Yuna videos out there, so if you are a Yuna user and you just want to do it quite easily, go check it out, Google it, you will find it. The compositions we're going to be going over are a generic slash composition. This is going to be the first composition that we highlight. We have Two-Headed Dragon for damage cap. We have Fenrir for some magic resistance, because I have found that some units get close to death while doing this. Tidus in particular, with the smart coat in this positioning, just seems to get hammered quite a bit. Gilgamesh is really good in slot 3 because his Kotetsu will hit and land. If he's in any other slot, he will Kotetsu the adds and he will not Kotetsu the boss until later in the fight. So if you are running Gilgamesh, you must run Gilgamesh in slot 3 if you are planning on an auto clear. And then we have El Sorel, of course, for the triple hit Drain Rush attack. Now, if you're wondering what their passives are, since this is going to be the first group we're going to highlight, we do have it here. I'll show you the abilities that I have on and off right now. For Auron, I have pretty much everything on, nothing in particular. For Tidus, what's really important is that you are at that 120 location and have access to Eject Shot. It's not a must-have, but it does lower the target's defense. I've also heard a lot of people using Quick Hit Plus, which is also a very good ability to use in this. Hastegut and Sheer I did have to turn off in order to make my Tidus actually use the abilities that I wanted him to use, like AP regeneration. Everything else I pretty much left on, except for my Samurai abilities. You will have to turn off Night Veil, and for any unit that actually has a Samurai sub, you will have to turn off Night Veil, because Night Veil will, if he's in range of the adds, he'll pop Night Veil, and it could mess with his AI a little bit and give you some inconsistent runs. Gilgamesh has everything off except for Kotetsu, and El Sorel, you will see she has Maiming Slash and Drain Rush. The reason I have both of them on is because if El Sorel is opening up a chain or whatever it is, she may decide to do Maiming Rush, or she'll kill the adds with Maiming Rush. So overall, pretty good formation. Let's go ahead and jump in and show you how they function here, and then we'll show off the other compositions that we do have. This is going to be quite a long video if you did not know. We'll definitely segment down below the different compositions. For El Sorel as well, you do have to turn off all of her buffs and passives, so just be aware of that. Make sure I have tune-up on my El Sorel. The reason I have tune-up is for the agility, it's not for the defense penetration, because defense penetration is useless. Slash resistance down on Diabolos, which is why we run Gilgamesh. Your Gilgamesh does not have to be a high level. You're going to see Tidus here use Eject Shot. Your Gilgamesh does not have to be a high level, and this is a discussion that we got into on stream, because a lot of people were like, Diggs, it's, you know, crazy that you expect people to have Gilgamesh or utilize Gilgamesh. And, you know, a lot of people, if you've been playing free-to-play for a long time, you do have Gilgamesh. You maybe have him like level 74, right? Because you don't have all of his shards, right? You may have access to him. And even at level 74, he's still going to use Kotetsu if you put him in that 3rd slot. You're still going to get the slash attack down. And in some ways, because Gilgamesh is not a damage dealer, he's actually a better unit with lower agility because he takes less turns, and your damage dealers can deal more damage instead of Gilgamesh taking a turn, right? Because Gilgamesh's sole function is Kotetsu, right? A lot of people might not have an Ice Brand +5. I myself only have an Ice Brand +4. So that would be kind of a situation with Gilgamesh. You could run an Ice Slash comp with Gilgamesh, Laswell, and in that type of a situation, Gilgamesh's damage would be more viable because you're also debuffing Ice on the opponent. So there is something to be said for that. This composition in particular is kind of like a rainbow slash composition. I want to show El Sorel's passives here because I don't think I did. And I want to show Gilgamesh as well. You can see we got everything here. Self-sacrifice, acquired AP up. El Sorel has tune-up and Nightblade mastery. Some substitutes you could do here. You could probably substitute Sid for Tidus, because Sid is also going to give defense down. If you have a 120 Stern by chance with the slash attack down, you could replace Gilgamesh with that, with 120 Stern. The problem I found with Stern as I was messing around in my Dark Slash clear composition is that Stern is very squishy, and that does cause problems with Diabolos. Let's go ahead and go to our second composition here, and this is going to be our light magic composition. Now, of course, if you have Yuna, Yuna can solo this, right? But Yuna is not always going to be 120. You're not always going to have Bahamut. You're not always going to have the perfect gear for Yuna, right? You're not going to have the mastery levels that some people have when they are soloing with Yuna. So I wanted to put together a composition utilizing multiple magic units and Yuna. Sakura, of course, no brainer, right? If you have Yuna, you probably have Sakura. They're kind of a match made in heaven. El Sorel, or El Shura, sorry, really good in this composition. I'm really happy with her in this composition. She's not the best geared, as you can see, and my El Shura doesn't even have Faith maxed. Because magic doesn't chain, I did leave Banish Blade on El Shura, and you're gonna see her using it quite a bit. She doesn't even have optimal Esper resonance. She only has 3-star Cactur on her, which is okay, but it would have been much better if I had a different Esper affinity with her. This composition is probably by far the weakest composition. A lot of people would say throw Kilfei in there. And every time I threw Kilfei in, I was not able to get Kilfei to use her limit burst to lower magic resistance. We are running double magic up on Sakura. You could run spirit penetration if you wanted as well. Sakura, I just left all of her abilities on here. Between Sakura and between El Shura, you will get light resistance down. You can even see, you know, oh, I did leave Terror. So I turned off Difflusive Perplexity, Nimble Movement, Spirit Breaking Rune, just because I didn't have those maxed. Yuna, nothing too crazy. Yuna has literally everything on. Sub Kotodama. And El Shura is sub Rune Knight, and the only ability I have on with El Shura is Banish Blade. The reason I turned Drain Evocation off, because a lot of people are going to be like, why did you turn Drain Evocation off? I did leave Light Break Rune on. The reason I turned Drain Evocation off is if you have Drain Evocation on, it's such a high range attack that El Shura will run forward and use Drain Evocation, and all of the attacks will be focused on her. She won't get a buff, or she won't have an opportunity to apply a buff. I've tried for a 4th unit here multiple times, and I really found that the 4th unit just really added nothing. I tried Kilfei, I tried Phoebe, and I found that I got inconsistent clears with it. This composition seemed to be the best to me. Let's go ahead and highlight how it is run. Now, I would say this composition is close to 100% clear rate. It's kind of one of those compositions where I couldn't get the AI to function properly every single time. This composition might break, actually. Let's see. Because if you have Curaga on Yuna, I might have left my Curaga on. If you leave Curaga on Yuna, she will heal your allies. So that is really important in this composition, is that you do turn off Curaga and pray. And I'm hoping I do have that turned off on Yuna right now. I did have Sakura. Adjusting Sakura's agility to go before Diabolos and being in slot 1 is important, or Sakura is going to blow her limit break right away in the beginning. And she's going to just like 3-hit Diabolos and that's it, right? So you want to make sure that Sakura is in slot 1. Yuna in slot 2 or slot 1 will always blow her limit break, killing the adds, which is fine, right? You can see that El Shura is taking a beating. Regenerator is going to help as her counter ability, and you're going to see she's just going to come in here and spam Banish Blade, right? You can see they're just nuking. Sakura is going to take out the last ad, and she's also going to hit Diabolos here. And this is where you're going to get light resistance down on Diabolos. El Shura does not really do the light resistance debuff unless you give her no other choice. And kind of with the way the fight is set up, she will literally spam Banish Blade over pretty much everything else. You can see how close to death right now El Shura is. Stun does also land sometimes, and if your El Shura does die here, you can still win quite easily with Sakura and Yuna. It just gets a little bit messy, but again, not everybody has a 120 Yuna capable of soloing this, so I wanted to make sure to highlight a composition where I was experimenting and I was trying to figure out how to make this composition work a little bit more. I actually think this composition is easier than Light Slash, which we'll get into in a little bit, because my Light Slash composition was a little frustrating compared to the other compositions that I was putting together. Let's talk about Dark Slash. Dark Slash was more frustrating than I initially thought. It basically came down to, I tried to put Stern in, and Stern did not work in the composition. Stern would just die. It didn't matter if I had magic resistance. It didn't matter if I put magic resistance on him. It didn't matter if I took his soldier passive off. He was just dying nonstop. So I took him out, put Venera in. I adjusted the position of Dwayne, and you're going to see that we have a pretty clean composition here. I do have Fenrir on, and the reason I have Fenrir on is kind of to speed up the process with Venera. We also have the Omega VC here. So you can see it has unit so, okay, hold on. This is kind of a weird situation that I'm running both Fenrir and Omega, and I'm just realizing that I must have swapped my VCs for agility, potentially. I kind of want to take Fenrir off now. But I also know this composition clears, so I'm like, do I want to mess with the agility? Probably not. You can probably sub Fenrir out because he's overlapping with Omega, but just leave it as it is right now. And we'll show this off. Ziza 120, really important, basically. Oh, I gotta show the abilities, don't I? Ziza, really important for her 120 ability. You can see mine's only at 112, but her ability to use Debilitating Fist, I don't even have it maxed out, but it lowers single unit attack resistance, really good. The thing with Sub Thief with Ziza is that Snipe Dagger takes 31 AP, so this can be really painful for Ziza, because a lot of the times when you use Ziza, she's using Steal Time, and she's going to have a lot of AP built up, but in this fight in particular, she kind of struggles a little bit. And of course, my Ziza's Faith is 30, right? So for those of you that know me, my Ziza is not my most loved character. And so, of course, my armor wasn't going off all the time, my apron. This is just one of those things where you're going to create a composition very similar with me throwing El Shura in, where El Shura's Faith wasn't maxed, right? You're kind of working with what you kind of have. Ziza, of course, is not maxed out for me yet, but I did want to utilize her because I wanted to use that single attack resistance is really important to me. So for me, worth it right now. Every one of my other units is here pretty much for a similar reason. Venera for her limit break and defense down, Stern for double attack and defense down, Dwayne for dark resistance down. Other than that, there are abilities that I have turned off. I did find with Dwayne that he will kind of run around and do a whole bunch of stuff. I left Atonement on him, and the reason I left Atonement on him is I found that it manipulates his AI to go into a position to keep him alive. Ruin Stern is one of those units very similar to Stern, where he can die from Diabolos quite easily. So I was adjusting Ruin Stern's position all the time, trying to make sure that Ruin Stern would not die. I tried to equip magic resistance gear on him. There's a whole bunch of different things I tried to do. So for Venera, I have tune up and evasion up level 1. I could put like acquired AP up. You never want to put Thief's Lore on right now, because if you go to Thief's Lore, it gives move +1. The moment that she gets move +1, she's going to be within range to attack, so she's not going to pop bells. So just be aware of that. In terms of her assassin, leaving Pillaging Blade and Heavenly Blade on, both really good low AP attacks, and I also left Armor Cleaver on. Poison Sting messed with her AI substantially as well, so I did turn Poison Sting off on her as well. Ruin Stern, pretty standard here. Pull him up. We got Blade Soul, Desperation, right? He's kind of set to go crazy. You do have to turn off Esper animations or Esper attacks, because you will be doing the fight long enough where Esper attacks will actually come into play, and the Esper attack can really mess it up if you are not planning for it. Let's go ahead, get in here, and we will show off this composition. Some units you could probably sub into this composition. If you found a way to make Stern survive, you could put Stern in this composition. I did try utilizing Stern with Triple Trick, and he was okay. It wasn't remarkable, because really the problem was survival. It wasn't dealing damage, it was honestly survival. And I honestly think compared to, you know, some of the light slash compositions out there, this was a lot easier to build because I'm more familiar with it than running a light slash comp. And personally, I don't have Ramza, which is also a problem. Venera also, you know, compared to light slash compositions, you have units like Venera who lower defense, you have Ruinstern who lowers defense, you have Dwayne who lowers dark attack, you have Ziza who lowers unit attack resistance. And in light formations, you really don't have like a ton of that. And that also makes it difficult running that with, like, say, not having Gilgamesh in there to lower slash resistance. So you can see that double attack just did 25k damage from Ruinstern. Ziza is popping that unit attack resistance. Venera popping her limit break here, turn 8. And you can see Ruinstern's actually going to get pretty low here. And he will almost die. He potentially could die. But I've run this a couple times where I don't think he will. You can see how important that magic resistance is. Kind of you can see why I was flubbing around with the Fenrir card and the Omega card, because that magic resistance is so important for this composition. Some things you could probably sub in as well. You'll probably flip in like a Gilgamesh in this composition. The problem with this composition, though, is it's really focused on more dark chaining than dark slash, because you do have Ziza kind of messing it up with the unit attack resistance down, right? So the dark slash chain is going to get adjusted to just a dark chain when she does that. So just something to be aware of. Now, probably my least tested composition, but the composition I wanted to show off, is my water composition. This composition I've run a few times. I've had some problems with it. I haven't optimized it fully, but I was having a lot of fun with it, and I wanted to kind of show it off as like a last fun composition. Now, utilizing this is going to be Spellblade Ildira, but let's start with Tidus. Tidus, of course, going for the magic resistance, going for the same passives as before. Again, you don't want to have any individual buffs like Illusion going, as he will use those instead of popping his TMR here, which gives him some nice crit damage. Christmas Ramada, we are running full damage dealer. We are going agility and luck. You could go Shikuchi, but I would not do that because that will, again, mess her up. Soldier abilities, we have Hazard Form on, Hazard Break on, Drain Force on. We pretty much just left it all on. She's going to prioritize Triple Trick, as you will see. Ildira. Now, Ildira is interesting. We turned off all of her calculator abilities except for Water Gut 4. I wanted to see if she would prioritize Water Gut 4 for dealing with the ads. If I remember right, I do believe she does. And then all of the weapons off except for Water Blade and Water Gut Blade. Lots of fun here. I did leave level 4 to level 3 off. If I did want survivability, I could switch to Providence of Fire as well. She does have Shiva, and because of the VCs that I have equipped here, I really decided to go for Celebrating Cross Paths just to increase damage, because you have Zazan increasing water and damage limit cap. You have water slash attack up, right? Like, there's just so many things going on here. I guess I could do like attack up, but at the same time, like, Ildira needs a card that adds magic for her because her spell blades are magic based. So a little bit of a complex situation there. Christmas Victoria, everything off except for Sub Paladin, Blade Bash, and Taunting Blade. I do have Tune Up and Holy Knight's Protection on. You could not really substitute anything in here for that. It's just kind of something where that's just what it is. Let's go ahead and show it off because I'm kind of excited, and I hope this composition works for this video because it's a composition that I really love to play with. And it was a composition that I was really proud of as well, because I have never successfully utilized Christmas Ramada in a video ever. Literally every time I've used Christmas Ramada, her ass has just let me down. Important positioning note on Christmas Victoria here as well. She's up in the corner because if you put her on the inside, you can put her in slot 1 or slot 4. If you put her on the inside, she will not use bells. She will just run forward and nuke. I haven't tested out the positioning with Ildira, but if Ildira was in positioning 4 or positioning 1, she might instead nuke both of the ads there. Definitely something to consider as well. You're going to see here is our first AoE, Taunting Blade from Christmas Victoria. Tidus coming in with a Eject Shot for defense down. And now we're going to see our girl Ildira popping that water gut again. And now comes the triple trick, hella damage, and we are just going to enter into water/chain heaven, right? Blade bash from a Christmas Victoria, capping out damage here. This is a little unusual. I haven't seen this before. Usually my Ildira is running forward and using water gut blade, but I think her positioning is a little off this round. So I'm hoping that she gets in there and shows off. There we go. Capped water gut blade damage from Ildira. Christmas Ramada letting me down again. Not surprised that I'm being let down by Christmas Ramada here. This is not how I was expecting this fight to go, but we are still clearing it. You guys, water composition can clear this. This is the 5th and the final composition. I hope you guys enjoyed it. As always, if you do want to support my channel, make sure you use my affiliate link, dig.gs/coins. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. If there's any questions about my composition, put them down in the comments below. If you have compositions of your own, make sure to check them out as well. Peace out, everybody.